Hello and Namaskar. Welcome back to the third chapter of Introduction to the Panorama of Contemporary Indian Theatre. In our earlier chapter, we had talked about Parsi Theatre. In today's third chapter, we will talk in detail about what was this Parsi Theatre, how did it start, and what kind of influence it had on the contemporary Indian theatre scenario. You see, this name Parsi Theatre, it was given to this kind of style or genre because these theatre companies were owned by Parsi gentlemen. This Parsi community, this is one of the communities in India which was very close to Britishers, very much close to Britishers. They were influential people, they were affluent people, and they were the people who learned the language and all the styles of Britishers very soon. And generally this Parsi theatre is looked down, it is supposed to be very bad influence on our Indian theatre, etc. But let me tell you that when this theatre started, that was not the intention of these Parsi people. In fact, the first initially these Parsi people started performing English plays in their clubs or small groups. They had this club kind of a culture, and the very first Parsi theatre group, which was also named Parsi Natak Mandali, was started by very eminent and prominent people. They were Dada Bhai Navroji, who was a nationalist leader. Then Dr. Bhau Ladji, who was the first graduate of Bombay University. Fardun Dalalji, he was connected with the Bombay Exchange, and Mr. Paston or Master Paston, who was a teacher, school teacher by profession. These eminent people started doing plays first in English, then they started doing plays in Gujarati. And this Parsi Natak Mandali's first Gujarati play was written by Master Pastonji, and it was titled Rustam Ane Sohrabji. And this group continued for another 3-4 years. They did some more English plays and Gujarati plays. But while this Parsi Natak Mandali was doing good standard play in Gujarati and English, some Parsi gentlemen, some Parsi businessmen saw that there is an opportunity that we can do these plays commercially, we can earn money out of it, and that is how the whole genre of Parsi Theatre or Parsi Natak Mandali started. The first prominent Parsi theatre group was Elphinstone Company, which started in the year 1861 by one Mr. Jamshedji Madan. Later on, he took this company from Bombay to Calcutta. And let me tell you that most of these Parsi theatre groups, they started originally from Bombay, and later on either they were shifted or the companies or people impressed by this Parsi theatre movement, they started their own companies in different cities of India. The second important Parsi theatre group was Victoria Natak Mandali, which started in 1867, and the third one was Alfred Natak Mandali, which started in 1871. You can see, as I am taking these names, they are not called Parsi theatre companies, they are called Alfred Natak Mandali, Victoria Natak Mandali, Elphinstone Natak Mandali. But later on, this Parsi term got connected with these names, and they were called Fulani Parsi Theatre Company, etc., etc. Out of all these companies, this Alfred Natak Mandali was one of the most prominent and important theatre group. Initially when it started, it closed down after 2 years. Later, when Mr. Jamshedji Ogra took over this company, and then he started running this company, and this became the most famous Parsi theatre company. In fact, there are many companies which had the name of New Alfred Theatre Company, Bombay Alfred Theatre Company, Falana Alfred Theatre Company, because Alfred Theatre Company had become such popular and such important. What was this Parsi Theatre? Let us look at this. It was nothing, the kind of fare these British companies were bringing into India, it was the same kind of a thing. It was they had the same kind of structure, same kind of plot. In fact, they used to translate and adapt Shakespearean plays into earlier first in Gujarati, then later on they started performing in Hindi or Urdu because that had more audiences. Gujarati audiences were limited. To take it out and to increase their range, they started doing plays in Hindustani or Hindi and Urdu, a mixture of Hindi and Urdu. So, these were Shakespearean plays or other European plays which they adapted into our Indian conditions. They had beautiful painted curtains as sceneries, music was there, which was the influence of our Sanskrit and folk theatre, because Shakespearean or Elizabethan theatre did not have music or singing as such in their plays. But in India, music and singing is a very major part of our lifestyle. When somebody is born, we sing. When somebody gets married, we sing. On each festival and rituals, we start singing. So, music was very essential and important part of these songs. Then they had beautiful acting, fantastic acting, and as we call in dialogue bazi. They had fantastic dialogues, and actors used to say those lines in such a way that audience will call for once more, etc. So, this is the kind of theatre they were doing, which was very entertaining, very amusing, and they also used to have stage tricks on the stage. Somebody flies down, somebody drowns, there is a fire, fight, everything of tricks were shown on this Parsi stage. You see, it became so popular that not only Bombay, that there were Parsi theatre groups at Calcutta, there were Parsi theatre groups at Delhi, and not only in major cities, they were there in smaller towns and cities also. There were many theatre groups, amateur theatre groups, who saw these Parsi plays, and they, because they did not have the kind of resources these rich Parsi people have, but they will try and imitate the same kind of theatre in their small group or small cities. In fact, southern India, where the Sanskrit theatre lasted long, where British theatre did not make any dent, where our invaders from Central Asia could not reach, there also this Parsi theatre reached, and it influenced their theatre there. There were the Parsi kind of theatre groups in Tamil Nadu, in Karnataka, in Andhra Pradesh. I will just give you some names. Everybody knows Mr. Gubbi Viranna. He was the owner of Gubbi Viranna Natak Company, which was basically a Kannada theatre company and used to perform plays in Kannada language, but they were modelled on the Parsi theatre company style of Nataks. There were P. Sambal Mudaliyar in Tamil Nadu. He also started doing the same kind of theatre in Tamil Nadu, and many more joined them. Then there was Mr. Dharam Varma Krishnachari at Andhra Pradesh, who started this kind of theatre in Andhra Pradesh. And you will be surprised to know that even today there is only one surviving company, Parsi theatre kind of a company in India, and that is in Hyderabad. It is called Surabhi Natak Mandali. It is almost 125 years old theatre group, which is still performing, still doing plays. You see, when this Parsi theatre started in Bombay and it got spread in all over India, there were many people who were responsible for this development and growth of this Parsi theatre. People like Kawasji Khatau, Khurshedji Balaji, Jamshedji Ogra's name I have already taken. There are some brilliant actors like Master Madan, Miss Phantom, Kajjan Bai, Jahangirji Khambata. They were the people who were responsible for the growth of this Parsi theatre, but we must not forget the contribution of some playwrights who not only wrote plays for these Parsi theatre companies, but also at times directed these plays. The first one was Mr. Vinay Prasad Talib, who wrote the play Raja Harishchandra, which was one of the most popular plays of these Parsi companies. Then there was Narayan Prasad Betab, Aga Hashr Kashmiri, and Pandit Radhe Shyam Kathawachak. As I told you that these Parsi theatre companies used to perform earlier, they started with Gujarati, then they later on started performing in Hindustani. Pandit Radhe Shyam Kathawachak's contribution is this, that he introduced Hindi as a language of the play or the dialogues in Parsi theatre. His play Veer Abhimanyu became one of the most hit plays of the Parsi theatre groups of that time. This Parsi theatre, which had tremendous influence on this our modern Indian theatre, it ruled, or it was there almost from 1860 to 1920-30. That was this glorious period for almost 70 years. Then the decline started, and the major reason of its decline was our emergence of our Indian film industry. Our films started catering the same kind of fare which these Parsi theatre groups were catering to us. They had music, they had songs, they had those dialogue bazi, etc., etc., and it was much cheaper, much quicker, and it could reach anywhere. Though this films started coming, but let me tell you that Parsi theatre groups, as I told you about Surabhi Natak Company, some more theatre groups continued till 1850s or 1950s, but their influence was declining, and there were some people who were against this kind of cheap, vulgar, superficial theatre, which they said that which is kind of a drug to our audiences, to our theatre, which was having very ill effects on our Indian theatre and our audiences. As I had mentioned earlier, people like Bharatendu Harishchandra, Jaishankar Prasad. There was one more person called Raj Kapoor, who was totally against this kind of a theatre. Mr. Raj Kapoor started his own theatre group called Parsi Theatres in the year 1944 at Bombay, and the first play he did was again Kalidas's Abhigyan Shakuntalam. He used an adaptation of Mr. Narayan Prasad Betab called Shakuntal, which was performed in Bombay in the year 1945, but it was a big flop. Mr. Raj Kapoor spent more than ₹1,00,000. He had a professional theatre group. Parsi Theatres was a professional theatre group. Each actor, each technician was on a monthly salary. He spent huge amount of money on these salaries and preparing, producing, staging this play, but it was not very successful. But Prithviraj ji could never say nothing was impossible for him. He never felt defeated, and he, with the same zest, he started another play which was called Diwar, and it was a great hit. Then he produced many plays, Pathan, Gaddar. They were all social plays related to the present condition of the country with our society, and they were very popular plays. He toured with these plays all over India, performing hundreds and hundreds of shows of these plays, and also making money, but not enough. So he used to act in films also, so that he can earn money from films and put into his this Parsi Theatre. Parsi Theatre sadly closed down in 1960, but we can still see some of the photographs of his brilliant productions. As you can see from, you can make out from these photographs, that Raj Kapoor's plays were realistic plays. They are done in a realistic style, but again they were done on a proscenium stage, and the same British kind of theatre which we have got from them. And also at times the structure of the play was again influenced by the Western style of plays, but they were Indian in their ethos, and there was a very good honesty behind producing these plays. At the same time, in 1943, another major thing happened in the Indian theatre scenario, that was the formation of Indian People's Theatre Association, or as we know it as IFTA. IFTA was mainly a what you can say product of our political parties, left political parties. In 1942, we had this Quit India movement, and then in 1943, Bengal faced a great famine. Out of these, and also they also had the same kind of feeling that we should do a different kind of theatre which is not as same to the Parsi theatre. This IFTA was born. Initially it was started at Bombay, then Calcutta became the major center, then it spread all over the country. They used to do plays which we call now street theatre. They used to go and perform in front of the gates of the factories, mills. They will go to the street corners, to the parks, and perform their political plays. Their theme was political, the theme was anti-British rule, their theme was anti these owners of the factory, mill owners, the rich business class. These plays were done by, or they were addressed to the farmers, to the mill workers, to the lower strata of our society. Some of the names which we are very much familiar these days also is Khwaja Ahmad Abbas, Balraj Sahani, Kafi Azmi, then Bijon Bhattacharya, Salil Chaudhary, Shambhu Mitra, Tripti Mitra. They were the big people who started this IFTA, Indian People's Theatre Association, and they carried forward its mandate for another 7-8 years. You see, this IFTA movement, it had started from a political inclination, and in 1947 when India got independent, so this motivation got little bit diluted. Though IFTA is still continuing, there are many IFTA groups in various cities of India till today, but it is not as much influential as it was in that period from 1943 to 1947. You see, what was happening that beside this Prithvi Theatre and IFTA Theatre, one important thing was coming of radio. Radio gave a chance to, you see, up to now the people who were associated with this theatre were either they came from lower strata of the society, but in the radio people from middle class and upper middle class started going. There were playwrights who started writing plays for radio, which were later on taken over by college drama societies, where again these intellectuals, this educated people, they used to take part in these plays, and also women started coming into the theatre. They started acting in the plays. In the year 1947, India got its independence, and the people who were ruling the country now, they felt the need for the upliftment and development of different kinds of arts. They need some organizations, and so that they decided to start 3 different academies: Sahitya Academy, Lalit Kala Academy, and for the development of theatre and music, Sangeet Natak Academy. Sangeet Natak Academy came into being in the 1952, and in 1956 they organized a major seminar, a 3-day seminar at Delhi, in which theatre people from all over India were invited to participate, and the topic of the seminar was development and how do we take Indian theatre forward. in that 3-day seminar, it was decided that for the growth and development of Indian theatre, we need a drama school which will train young people who will take up drama either as a profession or who will do drama professionally. And that is how the National School of Drama came into being in the year 1959. Mr. Satu Sen was its director in the beginning, then he left because of some personal reasons, and Mr. Ibrahim Al-Qazi came. He was working at Bombay at that time. He came and took over the directorship of NSD in the year 1962, and he brought sweeping changes in the curriculum of the school, in the functioning of the school. It was a 2-year course in the beginning. He made it into a 3-year course. He introduced 3 specializations: acting, direction and stagecraft. And he is responsible in making National School of Drama what it is today. He also brought with him some new playwrights. It is not that Mr. Al-Qazi asked them to write plays, they were writing plays, but Mr. Al-Qazi brought their plays to the NSD. The first play he did was Mohan Rakesh's Ashal Ka Ek Deen, and then Dharamveer Bharati's Andha Yug. Mohan Rakesh, Dharamveer Bharati, Girish Karnad, Vijay Tendulkar, Badal Sarkar, they were writing modern Indian plays in a new idiom, in a new theatrical kind of language, which was acceptable to us, which was easy for us to identify and do it. They were writing plays, most of their plays were still in the realistic format, except Andha Yug or Girish Karnad's Hayvadan or Vijay Tendulkar's Ghasi Ram Kotwal, but mostly these plays were in the realistic format, but they talked about us, these modern Indian people. With these new plays, there was also a search started of new performing space. We did not want to perform in the proscenium, in that kind of a frame anymore, and people started performing in monuments, in open air theatres. Different kind of new places were being found to perform these plays. You see, one more thing happened. We also realized the people, either they were getting training from NSD or not getting trained from NSD, but who were doing theatre, that we must search for our roots. And this search took them to their folk performing traditions, to their classical Indian traditions, and people like Habib Tanveer, who worked with Chhattisgarhi artists in their form, Nacha, or K.N. Panikkar, who tried to use elements of Kudiyattam in his, they were using the modern text, but using the styles of our old period, or B.V. Karant, or Mr. Ratan Thiam. I am just giving few names, but there are many who were trying to find, to presenting these new texts, modern texts in a different kind of a format. Some of them succeeded, some was success, some did not succeed. But you see what was happening in this theatre now, in modern Indian theatre. We were doing realistic plays, we were doing folk plays also, like plays like Maina Gurjari were being revived or rewritten, Jasma Odan being written by for modern audiences, or we are taking the modern text and performing in the folk performance style. There are also attempts to do poetic drama, to do dance drama, and then we have reached today in this world of globalization, where there are multimedia productions, where there are non-verbal performances. There are again, as I told you, even Parsi Theatre, which was looked down earlier by in the beginning of the 20th century, it is being again done by modern theatre companies. Modern theatre groups are finding some other kind of meaning, some other kind of elements in this Parsi theatre, and they are reviving these plays. We are doing Parsi plays, we are doing Sanskrit plays, we are doing folk plays, we are doing modern plays, we are doing non-verbal plays, and we are doing multimedia plays. So, that was the lecture for our a panorama of contemporary Indian theatre or modern Indian theatre. Thank you very much. See you again sometime. Bye.